You know the joy Labubu toy brings, right? That pretty smile, that fluffy body. Well, this toy is not like Labubu, our pretty beautiful Labubu that with its smile and fluffy body, innocent eyes and playful spirit. Some toys aren't about innocent fun. He waits, watches, and remembers every whisper, every transgression, every life touched by his silent, terrible presence. Imprisoned behind glass not as a relic, but as a cage for the entity within, a living, breathing containment. He has his own horrifying rules, and a vengeance that has never truly slept. His name is Robert. In 1904, down in Key West, Florida, a young boy named Eugene Otto got a really strange gift. It came from a servant working in his family's home, a servant some folks believe was treated badly, and who supposedly practiced voodoo. The doll she gave Gene was huge, almost his size. It was stuffed with straw, dressed in a little sailor's suit, and had these lifeless black eyes. Gene quickly named him Robert. From that day on, they were inseparable. Gene talked to Robert all the time, just like you would to a best friend. But then, something truly unsettling started happening. Robert spoke back.
Hello, Eugene. Let's have fun.
Gene's parents would often hear their son having conversations, but they'd clearly hear a second voice answering him. A voice that definitely wasn't Gene's.
Robert, you are my best friend.
And you are my best friend. Eugene, let's play a new game.
Things around the house started going wrong. Items would mysteriously vanish. Furniture would suddenly be overturned. Glass would shatter without explanation. When his parents asked what happened, Gene would always give the same chilling answer. Robert did it. One terrifying night, they heard Gene screaming bloody murder from his room. They rushed in, flung the door open, and found the entire room in chaos. Toys scattered, furniture tipped over, and Robert just sitting calmly at the foot of the bed, watching everything. As Gene Otto grew up, he became a respected artist, even designing exhibits for the Fort East Martello Museum. He had this big dream of turning his family home into a grand art gallery. He even made a wax mold of his own hands for a display. But through all his ambitions, all his changes, Robert stayed. Gene even gave Robert his own special room, decked out with tiny children's furniture and a window that looked right out onto Eaton Street. Gene would paint, lost in his art, and Robert would watch. Gene's wife, Anne, was deeply unsettled by the doll. She started hearing strange, giggling sounds when no one else was around. Footsteps echoed in the attic, where they definitely shouldn't be. Things would move on their own. Anne became desperate. She wanted Robert gone. Gene, reluctantly, finally locked him away in the attic. But here's the thing about Robert. He never stayed where he was put. Children playing outside would claim they saw the doll watching them from the upstairs window, sometimes even making mocking gestures. No matter how many times Gene locked him away, no matter where he tried to hide him, Robert always returned to that rocking chair by the window, staring out. Journalist Malcolm Ross decided to visit Robert with some friends. At first, looking at the doll, Ross thought he just looked like a sad, forgotten child. But then, something shifted. It was like a metal bar running down my back, Ross later recalled. His expression changed. He was listening. The story goes that when one of Ross's friends made a disrespectful comment about Gene Otto, Robert's face visibly twisted, morphing into a look of pure disgust. There was intelligence there, Ross firmly claimed. The doll was absolutely aware. Gene Otto died in 1974. A new family ended up buying the old Otto home. Their 10-year-old daughter found Robert in the attic and thought he was the greatest treasure she'd ever seen. Then the screams started. She swore the doll moved on its own. It watched her. It even tried to hurt her. She'd wake up in the dead of night, paralyzed with pure terror. Her parents, at first, brushed it off as bad dreams, until she began screaming every single night, without fail. The doll was quickly removed from the home, again. Myrtle Reuter, the next owner of the house, actually kept Robert as a kind of companion. Robert even moved with her from the Otto house to a new place on Von Pfister Street. She claimed Robert would change rooms by himself. He never, ever stayed where she left him. In 1994, Myrtle finally had enough. She donated Robert to the Fort East Martello Museum, strongly insisting that he was haunted. Strangely, she died shortly after. Robert now sits in a glass case at the museum, but that certainly hasn't stopped him. Visitors often report that their phones just stop working near him. Cameras malfunction or refuse to take pictures. Other electronics just mysteriously die. Museum staff have also noticed a distinct shift in the energy around his case. Guests have reported feeling intense nausea, suddenly fainting, or experiencing inexplicable cold spots. And then, the letters started pouring in, hundreds of them, including one letter from George W. Bush. President of United States, congratulating Robert on his 101st birthday. Some of these letter writers were just tourists. Others were skeptics who thought it was all a joke. But every single one of them felt something go terribly wrong in their lives after seeing Robert. The letters read, "Dear Robert, I didn't mean to mock you. I took your photo without asking. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. My car crashed. I lost my job." Today, the museum walls are literally covered with these apologies. Some were mailed years after the visit, the guilt or misfortune apparently lingering. Some even arrive with little offerings. All of them, every single one, beg for one terrifying thing: mercy. Many people believe Robert was cursed right from the very beginning. They think the servant who gave him to Jean used some kind of black magic as revenge on the Otto family. But if that's true, why hasn't the curse died with the family? Why does Robert still torment total strangers? Maybe Robert isn't just haunted. Maybe he is the haunting itself. In 2015, Robert's chilling legend even inspired a horror film, The Curse of Robert the Doll. It was fiction, of course, but it absolutely tapped into a very real, very primal fear. The fear of a toy that isn't just an object. A toy that chooses you. One that stares back. One that silently waits. People say Robert is just a doll, an inanimate object behind glass. But the true horror of Robert lies in his awareness, in the silent, chilling tally he keeps. Robert remembers every face, every fleeting shadow that passes before him, and especially those who presume to take a picture without asking. If you lifted your camera, if you stole his likeness without a silent plea for his dark consent, then understand that you better start writing that apology letter right away. Because the photograph is taken, but the exchange is far from over. He is still watching. And your face, once Robert saw it, is never forgotten.